Hello, good morning, and welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. I'm Graham Hughes. It is Friday the 14th of June, Friday the 14th, famously the sequel to Friday the 13th. That's how it worked. And we have just under 3 weeks until the election and 21 days from today until, whisper it softly, it looks like the Tories might be out of office. For a very, very long time. A very, 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 very long time. Now, we have been helped in this matter, in a way, by Farage, that horrible, bollocked-faced foghorn of ignorance who's been going around the country, having no one tackle him about the failure of Brexit that he championed, the Russian connection, which seems really sus between him and his comrades at the Russian embassy and the people he met in the run-up to the referendum, which we know the Russians meddled in, but we haven't investigated it because the Russians paid us not to investigate it. Welcome to Britain 2024. Anyway, the thing is this, right? The Tories were on the highway to annihilation, a decimation, an extinction level event. Hurrah. Before Farage got on the scene. Now all he's doing is swooping up the people who weren't going to vote. They weren't going to bother voting. They were just going to stay at home because the Tories were shit. The Tories are shit. And the alternatives were all progressive types. Ugh. Look at those Lib Dem woke people. Yeah, get over yourself, you Labour woke flakes. I don't know what woke means, but I like to use it as a pejorative because, my wife left me and I'm very sad. And I hate everyone and everything, and I just want everything to be miserable. I want children to suffer, and I want young people to suffer, and I want them not to be able to buy a house, and I want them not to be able to afford to have a family. And then I'm going to say, what are all these immigrants doing here? Well, because no one's having children, right? There's no one to look after you, Grandad. There's no one to look after you, right? So, I mean, yeah, we could leave you in the corner to shit yourself to death, but that's not very civilized, is it, Grandad? No, it's not. All right, well, we need to have people coming in from other countries. Or, I know it's going to sound a bit crazy, why don't we have a country that people feel like they can have children in? They can afford children? Because the childcare costs are £1,000 a month. How about that? But no, in comes Nigel Farage as a wrecking ball to what was left of the Tory party, which in a way, hurrah. But in another way, it means that these people who weren't going to vote are now going to go out and vote for reform, which is hopefully a wasted vote. I'm hoping against hope that Farage doesn't actually break through in Clacton and become their MP, because I don't want him in the House of Parliament. I don't want him in the House of Commons. I get really agitated when people go, "Oh, but if he's in if he's in Westminster, right? What'll happen is he'll have to toe the line, won't he? He'll be exposed for the charlatan that he is." Oh, you sweet summer child. I wish I wish I had your innocence. I wish I had your naivety. If he is in the Commons, he will use every opportunity to big himself up, to get himself on the front cover of all the client newspapers, who are currently doing the bidding of the Tory party. And him and Cruella seem to want to get together as parties and bring Farage on board as the leader of the Conservative opposition to Labour, which is what the plan is at the moment. We need to make sure this doesn't happen. And the best way we can make sure this doesn't happen is by tactical voting all over the country so that Reform get 0 MPs and the Tories get 5, 6, 7. Let's get them down to single digits. If everyone voted tactically, it might be possible. Considering just how unpopular the Tories are right now. The desperation in the eyes of Tory politicians is hilarious. It is really hilarious. Like Penny Mordaunt last night on the debate that they did. She was like a rabbit in headlights. It was dead funny. Anyway, Sarah, hello, Sarah. Morning, Graham. Thank you. Have a coffee on me. Thank you very much. I shall. Cheers to that. Yes, I know my mug still says Labour Social, whatever. But the transition period is still in effect. Right, let's say hello to everyone. We've got Plum Duff in the chat. Hello, Plum Duff, how you doing? We've got Vendetta, we've got Malcolm Gordon, we've got Vicious the Bone Cruncher. Got a great name. I stopped the Tories so much, YouTube decided I'm a spammer. Oh, God damn it. Woke, the past tense of the verb to wake. That is Yvam Johan. Sarah, bravado and swagger will result in complacency and they will make life very hard for Labour while they're in office, which Labour will get the blame for. We have to stay mature. Yeah. And, we need to get rid of Nigel Farage. I want someone to say to him, hey, Farage, have you noticed that people really hate you? You're probably the most hated man in Britain right now. Well, for the last 10 years, like people seriously hate you. And you go out, people throw things at you. They throw milkshakes, they throw cups, empty cups that they found in a bin, all kinds of things. But he's really hated. And when you think about the fact that some MPs who have been attacked or worse weren't particularly hated, they weren't well known, they weren't like someone who everyone knew on the TV, like, oh God, not that dickhead again. But Farage is. And you got to think is he playing with fire a bit here? Is he? Because, he is really hated. And every time he goes out, he's going to have security with him because people are going to lob stuff at him. They're going to lob stuff at him. It's just going to happen. I don't think it should happen. I don't think it's the right thing to do. I'm not going to go around, well, milkshake's quite funny, but I mean, yeah, I think that we shouldn't be throwing things at politicians. But at the same time, if you're going to be Nigel Farage and you're going to complain about people throwing stuff at politicians, well, then you should possibly complain about the guy who's probably going to be the next president of the United States, having a failed coup and people dying, 5 people dying, 2 of them police officers. The guy who's running is a convicted felon. He's been found by a court of law to have committed rape, violence against women. And Farage is like, no, I'll support him. That kind of violence is okay. That violence is acceptable. Milkshake on me, not acceptable. All right, Nige. Purity Vendetta's in there, and Vendetta. Which one's which? I like the way they've got 2 Vendettas in the chat. We could all do with a bit more V for Vendetta. Maureen, we absolutely do not want Tyson in Boston. The place has been wrecked by Tories forever. I live there. I was one of the 25%. Boston, that's Lincolnshire. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Anyway, moving on. Daily Blase. Good morning, Salavi the cat. Is our Prime Minister crying into his cornflakes this morning? I don't know where he's been. Actually, he's gone off to a meeting with the G7 and he's now consorting with Georgia, what's her name? Georgia Maloney. Just remember what her name is. Oh, wow. May your mug never run dry, Graham. Oh, thank you, Yovosh. That's very kind of you. And it's 20 euros, which is always amazing. Thank you. And welcome to level 1, Bop de Bop. David, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Stop the Tories. Vote recommendation for my area is wrong. Ew. Okay. David, thank you for letting me know. Can you just let us know in the chat what your constituency is? I'm going to write it down. And I'm actually talking to Josh, who runs stopthetories.vote after this. So, I'll bring it up. Maidenhead. What? Melonhead. Oh, sorry, Melonhead. I thought it was like a response to where David lived. He lives in Melonhead. Maidenhead. Right, so moving on. Yeah, V for Vendetta should be compulsory reading, says Rob Hughes. Yeah. I think a lot of Alan Moore's stuff should be compulsory reading. But V for Vendetta came out in the 1980s when we had a Tory government who were just horrific, who were just doing the fascist dance and making ordinary people's lives a misery. And I watched the show. I watched the debate last night, and it was up. In the question time. Sorry, we did Quagglebox before we did the debate. So much stuff. So much content. got another 20 days of this. 21 days, actually, because we're going to run into Friday, obviously, of the election week. But yeah, they were in Scotland and they were talking about protecting jobs in the oil and gas industry. And I was sitting there going, they didn't care about protecting jobs in the coal industry, did they? So you're interested to have a Tory sitting there going, we need to protect jobs. What about the jobs, eh? Does anyone think of the job? Won't somebody think of the jobs? And I'm like, yeah, I think that the people who are working in the oil and gas company, there needs to be a transition period. They need to be retrained. They need to, give the training and the support that they can go into another similar organization, an energy corporation. I know that there's probably going to be less need for deep sea divers in that particular trade, but whatever industry, that doesn't matter. The point is, it was hilarious seeing the Tories sitting there, Douglas Ross, who's hedging his bets. I made a joke about that in the thumbnail. It's probably a little bit too vague. Well, not obvious. It was unobvious, a bit too subtle. But basically, he's staying on as a member of the Scottish Parliament unless he wins his seat that he's running for Westminster Parliament, right? And if he wins in Westminster, he'll quit being an MSP and become an MP. If he doesn't win, he's going to continue being an MSP. That's called hedging your bets. Anyway, he's sitting there going, somebody think of the workers. And I'm like sitting there. Oh, you saw me. Go with the coal mines. What about the coal mines? Like, seriously. 1980s, the coal mines. Do you remember them? Do you remember shutting them all down and leaving all the towns around here in Durham just derelict with nothing to do, no work? Yeah, do you remember that? Great days. David, either way, it's too early to call Wimbledon. Thank you. You can still call it Wimbledon. It's not too early to call it that. I'm just going to write that down and I'm going to circle it a bunch of times. And then I'll look at it and go, why have I circled that so many times? I sent Phil a long, boring analysis via email. Okay, well, I'll talk to Phil and get that off him. We need a politics social book club. We do, don't we? Where's my books? Oh, they're behind me. I had a stack of books. When Ben was here the other day, when we were doing the watch party on Wednesday, I had this screen behind me. I had this propped up a little bit because it's portrait at the moment, and because there were two of us, I needed to make it landscape, right, to fit us both in. And I popped it up with some books, and all the books I'm reading at the moment. But yeah, book club, definitely a good idea. I would seriously recommend Empire Land and Empire World. I would recommend How We Broke Britain, and the sequel that we're writing together, How We Fixed Britain, which is not yet. And it's still a work in progress. And the Russ Jones books, A Decade in Tory, is eye-watering. It is absolutely eye-watering what they did in the first 10 years of the Tory administration. And then he wrote Four Chancellors and a Funeral, about what happened since then. And now he's writing another book, which is going to take us up to this election, I think. Wow. It's just, there's so much in there. It is horrifying. If you ever follow Russ in Cheshire on Twitter, he's working for Bylines now, so he's writing for Bylines, so you can find it on their website. He does a week in Tory, and he just lists all the stupid things the Tories done each week, and it is just, every week it's like an immense list with like 86 points on it, because that's how many daft things the Tories do in a given week. Painful. We need a politics social mascot. I can be a mascot. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, actually, Sarah. We need a mascot. Who can be our mascot? Ben Chambers can be our mascot. If there's a politics social mascot, it's got to be a badger, surely, says 31 Blaze. Yeah. Can it be a honey badger? Come on, throw a cat amongst the pigeons. Psycho bastards, they look dead cute, but oh my God, they're actually crazy. Yeah, could we make a honey badger the symbol of politics social? Right, let's go to the papers. I get carried away with silly ideas. Right, here we go. We've got there's Sunak with Maloney there, wooing the fascist. She's not now fascist because fascism went down so well last time they tried it in Italy. Badger for mascot. Badger. The mascot needs to be little, Graham. Okay, all right, yeah. Honey badger, says Rob Hughes. Yes, badger the mascot. Yeah, actually, we'll use the badger because then we can use a GIF. Not a GIF. What am I talking about? Oh my God, I think I've reached that age. I've got to the age of 45 and I can't say words like emoji anymore because it makes me sound daft. The emoji, there is an emoji for a badger, but not a honey badger. So, in the same way that refuck have a arrow because they can use the emoji for the blue right arrow, and it looks a bit like the party logo. In the same way that Labour can use a rose, and it's like, oh, that's our party logo. And the Lib Dems use a rhombus, a diamond-shaped yellow shape. Yeah, let's do a badger. All right, badger. Right. Occasionally a mushroom, and now and again a snake. Right, Reform overtakes Tories for the first time, so this is our big story today. So Reform have just overtaken the Tories. I want to talk about this a little bit because I don't really trust this poll. It's a YouGov poll, and it just looks a bit... Looking down into the data, Phil messaged us this morning to say it looks a bit mad because like the jump of young people voting Reform has just gone up like shitloads for no conceivable good reason, from like 5% to something like 25%. It doesn't look quite right. So yeah, maybe it is. I don't know. It just looked a bit odd. But yeah, brainwashing works. What can I say? But yeah, young people, I think there's so few of them voting that way anyway. Maybe it didn't take that many to switch. Maybe they weren't going to vote. Now they're going to vote refuck. I don't know. Reform, sorry. Reform UK, or refuck for sure. Anyway, so we've got this story here. Starmer taunts Tories. Labour is the party of wealth creation now. So that's a positive story for Labour on the front of the Independent. And EU bows to US pressure over Ukraine bailout. That's on the front cover of the Daily Telegraph there. I don't know. I feel like... Yeah, it's an interesting deal that was done yesterday, and we'll talk about this on Geoscope next week with Ollie, but basically it ties the US in to supporting Ukraine for the next 10 years, no matter who is president. We all know why they've done that, don't we? Phil and Graham, soft toys, please. That's a Captain Park Roberts. Yeah, no one wants that. And then we've got Labour will oversee Parliament of tax rises, say left-wing think tank. Okay, right. Okay, Telegraph. The Telegraph's lost its freaking mind. What is Labour not telling us about tax hikes? After a manifesto big on windy promises and small on detail, even left-wing think tanks warns of a Parliament of tax rises. Oh, God, bloody think tanks. When did we start listening to think tanks? We shouldn't listen to think tanks. We should, mysteriously funded think tank, says X. I'm like, oh, for God's sake. Anyway, Johnny Copperhead, thank you so much for the amazing, wonderful, incredibly generous £50 super chat. I find it maddening that the media bods are ignoring the growth element of Labour's manifesto. The argument seems to be, if you keep doing what the Tories are doing, you won't get growth. They don't hear me screaming at the TV. Yeah, well, indeed. So it's painful. It's painful. But thank you so much, Johnny Copperhead, for that £50 super chat. That is so kind and generous and awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, brilliant. Daily Express, thank you. No, not to the Express. Sorry, I'm still thanking Johnny Copperhead. Fuck the Express. Don't fall for Labour's hidden 8.5 billion tax trap. That's a trap. So then you've got the Mail and the Express there in lockstep saying Labour's got to raise your taxes. Well, the Tories got to raise your taxes. They get in because the taxes got to go up as a percentage of your income. Why? You ask? Well, because things are getting more expensive to do. Farage last night was saying, but we're spending more on the NHS than ever before. Yes, because there's more people than ever before. There's more people than ever before. And there's fewer people working. Because when we talk about the unemployment figures, we say, they're quite low, aren't they? Yeah, that's unemployment, right? That's people who could work but don't. It doesn't include people who are retired. And the people who are retired are becoming more and more. But every year, more and more people of older retirement, and they will generally use state pension. They will use state services much more than the rest of us. The NHS, they'll use it more than the rest of us. And someone has to pay for that. Someone who's working, and there's not enough workers. That's the problem. Not that there's too many people. If you want to go down that route, Nigel Farage, let's deport all the old people somewhere else. Somewhere nice and hot for them to live out the rest of their days. Maybe Spain. Maybe, oh no, we can't do that anymore because we left the EU. Richard, thank you very much. £10 super chat. That is very kind of you, sir. Can you also check Kenilworth and Southam on Stop the Tories? No Labour councillors plus very low non-battlefield Labour campaign. Labour sending activists elsewhere. Boundary changes, skewed last results. Lots of grumpies. Okay, I'm going to write down Kenilworth and Southam. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Richard. Nice one. Let's move on here. I'll fix Britain, vows Starmer, amid doubts, however, how he'll pay for it. Well, at least he's trying. Bookmakers told to look into election day betting. This was, I don't know if that's a story from yesterday when Tory MP, is he an MP? I think he's running for office. Tory, and he put a bet on there being a July election 3 days before the announcement of the election. It's a £100 bet. Now he's going to have a criminal record. Like, what a dick. For like, what, 500 quid, mate? 5 to 1. Well done, mate. You've thrown your career away for 500 quid. Clever. It's just show these Tories, they're not smart, are they? They're not smart. They're not, are they? Woman left in A&E after using Ozempic to slim for summer. This is a story on the front of the Times here, just below the masthead, where there's a slimming drug which suppresses your appetite, and it's very, very successful in treating people who are overweight or clinically obese. But if you're not, and you just want to tone up for the summer, it can result in starvation. Like, it's really bad, like, for people to use medicines that they haven't been prescribed. But it's hard enough to get medicines that you are prescribed. Yesterday, I had to do a 1 hour round trip journey to Crook, which is it's about 25 minutes drive from Durham city centre, to go and get some medication for a friend of mine who suffers from cystic fibrosis, who lives in Derby, for Christ's sake, so I could send through the post this medication because she can't get it in Derby. In fact, she has friends all over the country, and if this medication comes into any pharmacy, she's got an alert on her phone, and one of us will go and get it and post it to her. Tory Britain. And one of the big reasons for this happening is obviously us leaving the EU, but also one of the ingredients in the medication that she takes comes from Ukraine. You know, at the bottom of every cesspit of shit. You know, if you dig right down to the bottom and you're all covered in effluent and feces, you get right down to the bottom. Who's there at the very bottom, controlling everything with little strings to make your life shit? Vladimir Putin. Interfering arsehole. There's a story today on the BBC about the right wing using bots again, and I say we need to use bots back. We need to bot them back. So on that note, me and Paul Somerville, who is one of the people who was on the, I don't know why I'm talking like this, one of the Three Blokes in the Pub podcast back in the day, he is setting up a bot farm. He's setting up a bot farm. It's going to be called Stop the Tories. Sorry, no, we've got Stop the Tories. It's going to be End the Tories, but it's going to be just going after people who might vote for the Tories, telling them not to. And all you need is that picture of the Queen on her own at her husband's funeral. That's what you need. That's all you need. Right, Gillian Hope, thank you very much. Thanks for the commentaries this week, Graham. Oh, thank you. I get some shit because people are like, stop shouting. Or like, you sound too loud. You sound too low. I can't hear what they're saying, Graham. And I'm like, you know, to be fair, you can just watch it on TV. You don't have to watch it through the medium of YouTube with Dick Eddie sitting there going rah, 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 all the way through. It's up to you. It's up to you. Tories don't like kids. They won't vote for them. That's Maggie Pie. Yeah, indeed, they don't. Conspiracy of silence on cuts and higher taxes, another dig at Labour. So, how are we going to pay for it? Dig at Labour there in the Times, dig at Labour on the Express, the Mail. I mean, they're all in lockstep, aren't they? Because they all went to school together. Apart from the Mirror, the bastion of actual Labour supporting papers, will give nation hope. Pledge to boost economy and build a brighter future for our children. That sounds good to me. That sounds good. But we need to be in a situation where we can have children, where we can afford to have children. Because shitloads of us can't afford our own homes and we can't afford to have children. Okay? We just can't. And I'm not sitting here as some privately educated Nepo baby going, oh, well, some people can't afford it. I can't afford it. I can't afford a car. I can't afford a house. I can't afford to have kids in this society, in this country right now. Because of what the Tories have done. 17 years, no growth. No growth whatsoever. The only reason why I'm able to do these shows so much, I've got a very, very understanding partner who's like, yeah, Graham, you do what you want. You go take down the Tories single-handedly. I'm not going to do that. But, I would like to, but, need a bit of help with that. But, yeah, it's a mug's game. Right, Starmer unveils 8.6 billion tax hit in bid to revive growth and end Tory chaos. This is the Labour Manifesto plan, crackdown on avoidance. So this tax hit doesn't mean that we're going to be paying it, us low earners, people who earn less than 20 grand a year, people who don't earn enough maybe to even pay income tax, which is about, I think you've got to earn 11,800 a year before you start paying tax on that. Yeah, that's your tax-free allowance. It's going to affect us because we're not the ones avoiding tax. We're not the one evading tax. They need to close those loopholes and they will get a shitload of money out of it. And windfall taxes. Bring in the windfall taxes. Oh my God, we need a windfall tax. Bot farming, the only kind of farming still commercially viable post-Brexit. Yeah. we got to get there. Thank you, Graham's partner, says Sarah. Yes, I thank him every day. Otherwise, we'll all be in trouble. Now, I mean, all things being equal, I'll never be on the streets because I've got family, I've got friends. Even if I did hit rock bottom, something went horribly wrong in my life, whatever, I'd probably still have a couch to sleep on. I haven't burnt all my bridges, so to speak, and I don't have an addiction. Whereas there are people out there who, through no fault of their own, have, because of maybe trauma, PTSD, whatever, have fallen into a spiral of depression, and it's resulted in them losing not just their job and their home, but all of the people around them that would have provided that support when they get to that point. They've pushed them away. It's something that a lot of alcoholics and drug addicts do. And there needs to be more support from the state to help people. But no, we just vilify them instead. Daily Star there, our magic balls. Okay. And then there's a Metro thing about some football thing that's going on. Yeah, I do find it really frustrating that we have become such a atomized society where we don't know our neighbours. We don't have the same social groups, social circles that we used to. We don't go down the local and see all our neighbours. We don't go to church. Not that I want people to go to church, but it'd be nice to meet up with the people that live next to you once a week, have an excuse to do that. Because then you become more society-minded. You care more about your society. You can work together. Because me going, cars go for too fast past our house is going to do nothing. But if I can get everyone in my village to say, cars go too fast past our homes and stand in the road so the cars can't go anywhere until the council puts some traffic freaking calming measures in. So we don't have another car at the top of the hill there, upside down like we did the other month, or literally upside. It's a village. How can you get to the kind of speeds that are required to turn a car upside down in a 30-mile-an-hour zone through a village? I mean, come on. It's a pit village, by the way. I mean, don't get some imagine. Don't imagine that I live in this sort of idyllic, little picturesque Cotswold village. No, it's very much a pit village. In fact, the pit was just down the hill. And one of the interesting things I find about living here in Durham, in Liverpool, the signs of its industrial past are everywhere. There's old train lines, train tunnels. There's all down at the docks. There's like 100 disused docks now. And you can go down there and see the evidence of industry. Here in Durham, like, you're told where the pit was. And you're like, where was it? Like, there's just nothing left. You think of that big triangular thing with the wheel on top, right? That's gone, right? But you can't even find the foundations of them anymore. Like, they're just been taken over by nature, vegetation, and I guess going down was just a hole, so it's all underground. But yeah, one of the fun things about living in Durham is if you are looking to buy a house, you have to get a mining survey done to make sure there's not a mine under the house, so the house doesn't collapse into a mine at some point. And apparently, they've got all these mines that are mapped, but there's lots of mines that aren't mapped. And nobody, because it was like hundreds of years ago that they were digging for coal and they weren't really marking it off on a map where they were. It wasn't until sort of after the Industrial Revolution that they started doing that, because they thought, what if these collapse in years to come and someone's built a supermarket on top of it? Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that's completely tangential. I don't know how I got over to that, but there you go. I'm glad I don't drink anymore, says Plum Duff. Yeah, I'm particularly, I don't know. I feel like when I do drink, it's kind of hypocritical because I know that I've got friends who struggle with drink. I know that I've lost friends because of the alcohol. And yeah, I want to be a good person. I want to be a good citizen. I want to help people, but I don't see that me saying, right, I'm not going to drink is going to help anyone in particular. I'd rather try and create a society in which we look after each other a lot more than we do at the moment. And one of the things I like about where I live now in Durham is when when people came over to stay as refugees from Ukraine, literally our two neighbours that way, and then there's a family who live up the hill, and we were all taking in refugees from Ukraine. We were all working together to keep families together and stuff like that. It was really nice. It was really like, it felt like we were working together for something good. And I want to see more of that. And one of the things that excites me a lot about the Labour Manifesto is talking about devolution and giving more power to regional bodies and people, rather than all these big decisions being made in Westminster, which I don't know why the libertarian mindset dickheads, those what are they called, rich anarchists that call themselves libertarians. I'm a libertarian. I don't need the police. I don't need the NHS. I'm rich. But everyone else does. I don't care about everyone else. I'm rich. Yeah, libertarians do my head. But the idea that they think that it's okay to have a centralised government that dictates, I don't know, the national curriculum, except only for state schools, by the way. Only for state schools, not for private schools. Private schools don't have to follow the national curriculum or pay tax or be inspected by Ofsted. Adrian Morris, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. That's very kind of you. No message, but hello. Do you have a tight temperature, blocked nose, and a sore throat too? Oh, you're talking to Sean? No, I was talking to me. Yes, I do. Maybe you can tell. I'm a bit croaky. I only drink when I'm not responsible for people or not going to upset anyone with me for any reason, rather than your brewer sucks, lol. That's for Blue Badger. Well, my rule is, like, if I'm going to be responsible for anyone, if I'm, if I'm in charge of the kids, or if I'm driving, I won't have anything. I just won't have anything. In Scotland, it's zero tolerance. In Poland, it's zero tolerance. You're not allowed to have any alcohol in your bloodstream whatsoever if you're driving, which I agree with. I think that should be it, because so many people drink up to the limit. It's like a speed limit, isn't it? People don't see it as they don't see it as a maximum. They see it as a goal. Do you know what I mean? It's like, along this stretch, you have to drive at 60 miles an hour, even though it's a windy country road. And it's like, no, it's just advisory. You don't have to drive it. Oh, God, you've crashed. Yeah, anyway, country roads should be 30 miles an hour. That's my take on it. And blind corners, it should be 20 miles an hour, especially in Cornwall, Wales, Scotland, Durham, other places where they have windy country roads. 60 miles an hour. Mad. Right, I've gone over time, as I always do. Michael Foy, I'm old, 70-year-old NHS nerd, cut me open, and I'm Labour through and through. NHS always works under Labour. Got the posters up in the thoroughly Tory area. Love it. Well done, Michael. Thank you very much for doing that. There you are, Blaze. Trouble with declaring you're a patriot is generally means nationalist these days, which is wrong. It shouldn't. I hate the fact that these far-right Nazis have commandeered the flag, and I was really happy when Mo Farah won the 1,000 meters even the 500, and he won the 1,000 meters in the 2012 London Olympics, and he got the Union Jack and he put it across his Union flag, whatever. I'm going to call it the Union Jack just to annoy the pedants out there. He put it over his shoulders, and I thought, great. There's a Somalian refugee who has basically, representing our country and taken back the flag from the far right. That was great. Didn't last long though, did it? And Devon, says one argument. Yes, and Devon as well. Country roads are 40 miles an hour, I believe. Not in this country. They're 60. They're 60. They're 60. All around here in Durham, it's 60 miles an hour. Down little roads that are only wide enough for one car. Half a car if it's an SUV. And hills you can't see over, blind corners, you name it. Badger, says one angry pagan. Yes. Okay, so we're gonna adopt the badger as the icon of a politics social. The politics social badger. Okay, cool. I like that idea. I've written it down. Okay, so I'm gonna be back with Phil Morehouse at 1:00 today for a very special edition of The Agenda, where we are going to be talking specifically about the Labour Manifesto, what's in there, what's not in there, what they can get away with. Because what Phil is very good at doing is he can identify what's been written and go, well, they've said this, and that allows them to do this in the way that they've written it. And also we'll talk about the fact that they've ruled out rejoining the EU or the single market or the customs union, which is really frustrating. I understand why they've done it, but why they had to say absolutely no, we'll talk about that. And then we're going to be back again at 9:00 tonight for the very first Politics Social. So please join us for that. The usual crowd will probably be rolling in. And then tomorrow night, Saturday night, I'm going to be doing a Saturday night special. And it's going to be up to you what you want to do, what you want to talk about, what the kind of format is going to be. It might be a one-off. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But we'll be doing a live show on Saturday night. So hopefully you can join us for that. If you are a member of the Discord community, because you're a patron or a member of this channel, please get over there and give us some ideas of what we could do. I'm thinking about having a Saturday night gaming night, to be honest with you. I think that'd be really fun. However, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it every week. So maybe we could get it started, and then if someone wants to volunteer to do it on Discord or something, we can do that each week on Discord on Saturday nights. We used to do that during COVID, but I don't know if it's viable now. But let's have a discussion about it. Anyway, I hope to see you at 1. If not, I hope to see you at 9. If not, I'll see you on Monday or maybe Saturday. So until then, thank you so much for the chat. Thank you for being top socialites. Thank you for the badger idea. Thanks for letting us know about those constituencies. Thanks for the super chats. Thank you so much. Honestly, you're keeping this channel going. Don't forget, we only get £1 for every 1,000 views. Most of these videos get 6,000 views. So you can imagine how much they make if we don't get any super chats in. Super chats, always very welcome. And give us a like on the way out. F the Tories, and hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.